Welcome back. My name is Steve.
I'm Phil.
Okay.
And I'm Steve. And this is Streaming Things, your only source for Star Wars Saga streaming needs. And today, you may have noticed that Kit Laser is not here today. So that means Phil and I are going to be covering this movie solo. Is that Jason Derulo? Jason Derulo. Oh yeah. I'm solo. I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo. Solo.
What if we just like keep this going the whole, just the whole ep?
Oh, just that song?
No. I'm just kidding.
That would be so fun. Do you remember, if you guys don't know that, so that song is from the Star Wars Connect game from fucking 12 years ago or something like that. Forever ago. Do you guys remember Xbox Connect?
Only barely.
Yeah. Well, it was a game. So the Xbox Connect was like a camera thing that you put on your Xbox. And
It was the response to the Wii being as popular as it is with motion controls.
Yeah. And the Star Wars Connect game was a lot of like dancing and motion based. So they have this dance off where you get to reenact the moves on screen, and
The moves you're doing right now are spot on.
They're doing like weird
For
like
the
proto dabs
for the YouTube watchers.
But yeah, so that was one of the more infamous songs that came out of that. They made like custom music for all of that, and the Han Solo song is a bop. So go check that out. Phil, we have our work cut out for us today.
Yeah,
it's just you and I. Kit is usually the one that does the scene by scene recaps, but we're gonna do our best with it.
Yes.
First off, buddy.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Good.
How are you doing today?
I don't think we've had a one-on-one since the interrupted coverage of Strange New Worlds.
This is true. Yeah. What RIP to the Strange New Worlds coverage.
RIP.
Gone too soon. Too soon.
I know.
But listeners, thank you so much for your patience. I know this episode is coming out a lot later than we would have liked. Usually we record on Sundays, and unfortunately, I had some food poisoning on Sunday, and so
some nasty chicken.
Record. Yeah, it was kind of funny. We went to there's a member at my day job. He was graduating college, so we took him out to lunch on Friday to kind of give him the like, congratulations, you're a real person now, you graduated. And we went to this restaurant, and the next day, like Saturday night, I started feeling really sick, and by Sunday morning, I'm just like ill. You know what I mean? Like, it's not in my stomach. I feel like I'm going to vomit from either end. And
I don't think it's called vomit when it's coming out of that end.
In lieu of saying like something worse.
Sure.
Like liquid death coming out of my ass. There we go.
Wow. You just went for it. Damn.
Hot, watery, gurgling, bubbly.
Someone's trying to eat during this.
Butt chugging.
And they're going to have to...
Jesus Christ. Have you ever ordered anything off the value menu of a Taco Bell that was coming out of my ass?
Yikes. Yeah. Man.
But yeah, so we couldn't record Sunday because, I have all the equipment, and unfortunately we couldn't do anything. It was funny though. I went to my day job Monday and I still wasn't 100%. I was the whole weekend. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Why am I so sick? This is so weird. And I came into work the next day, and everybody in that office was either not there Monday because they were still sick, or they were sick over the weekend like I was. It was rough.
Well, at least you were in good company. Seeing as how you were all dealing with the same thing.
Right. But so that's why we're a little late this week, and why the content on Streaming Things is a little sparse this week. So thank you guys so much for your patience with that. Some of you have reached out to me with some well wishes. I really appreciate that. You guys are always the best. If you want to support the show, you always can by going on to patreon.com/streamingthings. There you will find bonus tiers where you can find bonus content for Streaming Things. In fact, we are going to be revamping the tiers next month. Stay tuned for a special sort of announcement as to what those tiers are. So we're going to be revamping that. Go to patreon.com/streamingthings for that. If you have no money to send our way, that's totally okay. We love that about you. Just support us by giving us a 5-star review, emailing us at streamingthingspod@gmail.com. And then we also have new merch. I know I just said, like, if you don't have money, that's great, but we do have merch, so go check that out. It's in the show notes. Buy one of our shirts. But Phil, this week we're talking Solo, a Star Wars story. And I'm really excited to get into that with you because this is a little bit of it's not as controversial or divisive as like Your Last Jedi. But this definitely is one of those movies that I feel like when people talk about Star Wars,
if they remember it exists.
Yeah, if they remember Star Wars, if they remember Solo exists, it's usually ones that are like, that movie. But there's a little bit of a negative connotation to this movie. But before we get into our overall thoughts and breakdown, we got to do a little something that we like to call the Mad Libs.
But Steve, what are we going to do? Kit's not here.
You're right. Kit's not here. That is weird.
If only there were somebody else with a long legacy within this podcast sphere.
You know, Phil, much like Star Wars, Star Wars has a holy trinity.
Yeah.
Han, Luke, Leia.
Yeah.
Should we call upon the third member of the Streaming Things holy trinity?
I think we will.
Kit, Steve, and Andy?
This is where the fun begins.
Oh my gosh, you guys, this is so exciting. Andy's here with us.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Andy.
Wherefore art thou, Stephen and Philip?
We're in the studio. Wherefore art thou, you?
Amazing.
Well, I was hanging out in the driveway, but now I'm in my office.
Whoa.
So, probably for the best. It turns out everybody and their mother are mowing today. So the driveway was a terrible idea. But in hindsight, recording a podcast in a driveway, not ideal.
Not ideal. Well, Andy, thank you so much for helping us last minute with this this request to do our Mad Libs. Listener, as you know, what Andy is going to do, because Kit's not here, Andy is going to be the one asking Phil and I for words so that he can put the pen to the paper and craft a story that you all will be able to hear at the very end of the episode. So stay tuned for that. Andy, are you ready to kick this off and probe us for words? Imperial probe droid us for words?
I'm ready to probe you, Stephen.
God, mark this day on the calendar, Phil. He finally said it.
Okay, here we go. I need a part of the body.
Nostril.
I need an adjective.
Squishy.
I need a verb.
Freeze.
Freeze.
It was like freeze. That's one. Yeah.
I need an adverb.
Sexily.
Nailed it.
Love it.
We're back in the boobs and butts of streaming.
The boobs and butts. Back to it.
You know, if it ain't broke.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I need a silly word.
Ooh, kumquat.
I need a verb.
Penetrate.
I felt a little tingle there, Steve. I need a plural noun.
Lobes.
I need a part of the body, plural. Lobes would have been a good one.
That would have been a good one. Molars.
I need a silly word.
Silly word. I need a silly word.
Came out strong with kumquat.
I know. That was my only one. Bamboozled.
Bamboozle.
Or bamboozle, whichever tense works best for you.
Okay. I need an adjective.
Transcendent.
Ooh.
I need a noun.
Pickle.
I need a part of the body, plural.
I already did molars.
And lobes.
And lobes. What else we got? I'm going to say it just because Phil's meant doing the motion to me. Nipples.
There you go.
I need one last silly word.
God. Does it have to be a real word? Can it be just a made up silly?
I guess it could be whatever, right?
Yeah, it's a silly word.
Fig Newton.
I love that you made up Fig Newton.
I did make it up.
Make something up. I got something fresh off the dome for you. Fig Newton.
Fig Newton. All right, there you go.
I need a noun.
Fig Newton. No. Lubricant.
There you go.
Lastly, I need an adjective.
Toasty.
Toasty. Was that it, Andy?
Thanks, Andy.
That is it.
All right, listeners. So stay tuned to the end of the episode to hear more from Andy and to see what us two jabronis came up with.
That's a silly word. Jabroni.
You suck.
I know. Came up with Fig Newton.
But Andy, do you mind waiting out in stasis maybe, and so we can unthaw you at the end of the episode to read this story to us?
Tell me you love me, Steve.
God damn it, Andy, I love you.
I know.
All right, Phil, since we have just put Andy into carbonite, let's get into it. Overall thoughts on Solo, a Star Wars movie. Phil, what did you think? What is your history behind Solo, a Star Wars movie? What are your thoughts on it? Lay it on me.
I don't remember seeing this movie on the big screen.
No?
I know we went to go see it, but I don't remember any of the specifics. Did we go see it at our AMC, or where did we see this movie? I don't even know.
I'm going to be honest with you, Phil.
Yeah.
I also have no memory of seeing this movie in the theater.
Maybe we just got like abducted at the end of the night and
I know we
memories
had to.
lightly wiped.
Yeah, I know we had to.
Yeah.
Like, I know we
I
had
wouldn't
to.
have gone to see this movie with anybody else but you.
Right.
Let's put it that
Right.
way.
Yeah, and I know we would have seen this. But
Yeah.
I also, for whatever reason, just do not have a single memory of seeing this in the theaters, which
Maybe
is
it was
wild.
just like extremely unremarkable in terms of like the movie watching experience, not the movie, but the actual going to the.
It was there were no moments of fist pumping or no big feet. in
Yeah,
our
no one's feet
peripheral.
were in my shot the whole time. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't remember seeing it, but I remember liking it well enough the first time, but not really being like super jazzed by it. I thought it was a lot of my memory of movies and TV shows are like based in emotion. Like I can't necessarily remember plot points and stuff from movies and shows that I've seen years back, but I can remember how it made me feel. And I remember liking this movie, but not being blown away by it. However, you and I watched it this week for this show. You came over, we got a pizza.
Oh, we got a great, delicious pizza.
My
Hot
dog
honey.
was there. She didn't want to stop playing ball the whole time, so we just threw ball for her the entire time that we watched the movie.
Myrtle's a queen.
She is a queen.
Myrtle is a queen.
And I got to say, I really liked this movie. I had
Yeah?
a blast. Had a blast. I mean, it's not a deep, important film in any sense of the word. It's connective tissue between Star Wars pillars. It's not a numbered movie. It's not. It is one that you can probably skip and not worry too much about. But that said, like I think going into it, my bar was so low. I remembered liking it, like I said, but I was like, I don't know, maybe this time I won't like it as much. But I gotta say, I think I enjoyed it more this time.
Yeah.
Because maybe it was a combination of seeing it with you and having pizza in me. I don't know, but
Seeing a movie with me and having pizza in you, well,
that's a top tier.
it's guaranteed to raise a movie star factor by at least one full star.
Yeah. Right.
Not to toot my own horn.
Is it a 5-star movie? No. Is it a fun popcorn flick that you can sit back and just relax and enjoy? Yeah, it's fine. It's fun.
Yeah.
The look is great. I think the actor they got to play Han is good for the role. Donald Glover is incredible as Lando. The whole cast is good. I have no complaints about the cast. As I think like we've always been pretty keen on the cast throughout all these movies, despite the fact that the movies may or may not be good.
Yeah.
But I think the cast really does a good job in this one. And I think the little twist at the end is fun. I liked it. There are some kind of dumb things in this movie, but that's okay. It's okay. Movies can be dumb sometimes. It's fine. So I would say I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. And
Okay. That's pretty good.
Purely just a fun, sit back, enjoy it movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I also don't remember seeing this in theaters for the first time. What I do remember is before this movie came out being almost openly, not hostile, but like I was not shy about my beliefs that this movie should not be made and that I didn't understand why they were making it. Like, oh, you're taking an amazing character of Han Solo who has this beautiful character arc amongst the first original trilogy.
Yeah.
Of going from a scoundrel rogue to a hero, and you're gonna like make him a kid It just sounds like what George Lucas had a problem with in the prequels. Like, what if Boba Fett was a kid?
Well, he's not 10 in this movie.
What if Darth Vader was a kid? Oh, don't worry. I tried to make Han Solo a kid in episode 3, but thankfully that got scrapped.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, you can find a concept art of young Han Solo, who not only was living on Kashyyyk with Chewbacca in that draft, but he helped fucking Yoda find a battle droid signal. So if you can imagine a baby Han Solo like, hey, little Yoda, come follow me. I'm precocious.
No.
But so I was very against the idea of this movie. Like, and part of it was because like, I feel so fucking bad for whatever poor bastard they cast as a young Harrison Ford Han Solo, because you could have literally cloned Harrison Ford in a lab, grew him up to be the appropriate age, and had him play this character, and people be like, mid L, doesn't look like Harrison Ford at all.
100%.
Yeah. That being said, I came into this movie very biased, not for it. And when I saw it, I remember the first time I saw it, leaving the theater being kind of like, that was fine. You know, but here's the thing that I think this is why I think this movie is successful. Here's me, a curmudgeon. I don't have an interest in this movie even being made. I'm kind of hostile towards the even idea of it. But I went into the theater, I watched the movie. At the time, I was like, that's fine. But when I left the theater, I was honestly, and I still feel this way, I was honestly more excited. I wanted more young Han Solo, young Chewie, young Lando adventures. And I still believe that. Like, this movie succeeds in that way where I still want to see more of this. I want to see more of these swashbuckling adventures, because you don't, at least in the main the main movie arena of Star Wars, you don't see these type of like swindler, let's go rob people. Like, you don't see a lot of that set in Star Wars, in the movies at least. And these characters are so much fun. And I think this movie does nail the spirit of Han Solo and Chewie specifically.
Yes.
But also Lando Calrissian as well.
Yes.
Alden Ehrenreich, I'm just going to say this right at the top. This is my most hot Star Wars take of all time. This is my
what are you going to say?
Most piping hot Star Wars take ever. Okay. I think Alden Ehrenreich, who plays young Han Solo, is a better Han Solo than Donald Glover is a Lando Calrissian. Not saying that I think both of them are great. Here's the key difference. Donald Glover is amazing as Lando Calrissian, but I am aware the entire time that he's doing a Lando Calrissian impression.
Right.
It is a great impression. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
I would watch it till I die. However, Alden Ehrenreich, does he look like Harrison Ford? No. Not at all.
No.
Does he sound like Harrison Ford? No. Not at all. But the acting performance that he delivers is that character to a T.
Yeah.
Like, if you deep faked Harrison Ford's face onto him and played the movie and then maybe ran his voice through a Harrison Ford AI filter, no one would bat an eye. They would think this was when did they get Harrison Ford from the 70s and time travel him to now? He has that vibe. In fact, I found a little piece of trivia where so the original directors, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, they tested several thousand actors for this part. Several thousand, including, and this is like a lot of fans at the time were like, oh, you should get this actor named Anthony Ingruber. I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly. But Anthony Ingruber is famous. He's a voice actor, but he actually kind of looks like a young Harrison Ford. And he was, at the time, a lot of people were like, oh, obviously you would go with this
dude.
This is the guy, right? But they passed on him and went with Alden Ehrenreich, who was actually the very first person to audition out of those several thousand. And the reason why they picked him over everyone else is, quote, they wanted someone who could evoke the spirit of the iconic performance we all remember while bringing something new and fresh. And I think
they nailed that.
They nailed it. And I've watched clips of Anthony Ingruber, and he has a really good impression. But honestly, I think, you know, all the videos you find of him are him performing lines from A New Hope.
Right.
Which is like, okay, I mean, you're nailing that, but also
Sure.
like, can you perform new lines of dialogue in that same style?
Yeah.
I don't know if you could.
Right.
But I think Alden Ehrenreich really nails the vibe of Han Solo. And I think, and that is my piping hottest take. I know people in the Discord, even of streaming things, have been like, fuck this guy, he sucks as Han Solo. So like, and I truly believe like the way he kind of like stands and when he like shoots little glances at Chewie and he's like, shut your mouth. Like just the way they have that
His
interpersonal relationship
are spot on.
Yeah. If only he was blessed to have Harrison Ford's face and voice. And who amongst us wishes they could be?
Right.
We all wish we could be blessed with those two qualities. But Donald Glover, and again, I don't want to take anything away from Donald Glover because again, he's amazing, and he has some of the best lines in this movie. Like, there's a point in the end where he's like, "What are your thoughts on intertwined celestial bodies? I have to be something of an expert." Like that type of shit is so funny. We watched it, like you said, together. We had some pizza, and I also kind of came away enjoying this movie even more than the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
Because again, the first time I saw it, I was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But over the years, I actually find myself watching this movie more and more, to your point, because it's just a fun movie. There are definitely things in it that I don't like, that I roll my eyes at, and we'll definitely talk about those in the recap because I have very strong opinions about it.
Yeah.
But overall, it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's an action movie. It's supposed to be full of pew pews and bang bangs and
pew pews.
That's what it is. It succeeds at that.
Okay.
Well, we do have to talk about briefly, as briefly as we can. This movie famously has a troubled production history.
Which tell me all about that, Steve.
Oh my gosh! So, Solo, a Star Wars movie, actually has its roots years and years and years ago. Do you remember in the early 2000s when George Lucas was planning on having like a live action television series called Star Wars Underworld? Do you remember that at all? That was like a big thing.
I didn't know it was
2000s.
called that, but I remember there was something around that time that was going to be made for TV that was not the cartoon that never got made. Yes.
Yeah, so that TV show was supposed to focus on non-Force users like rebels and scoundrels and stuff. And apparently that show was supposed to talk about Han Solo's backstory a little bit, at least, and how Lando met Chewie and how Lando met Han met Lando and all that stuff. But eventually, obviously that show never happened because George Lucas, to his credit, he like knew what he wanted to do, but TV at the time wasn't ready. Like they can't make The Mandalorian. you couldn't make The Mandalorian in the early 2000s, right?
I'm also kind of glad that didn't get made.
Yeah.
Because I think this is probably better than whatever he would have made.
Yeah, probably. I mean, this movie is written by Lawrence and Jonathan Kasdan. And for anybody who knows, like we've mentioned Lawrence Kasdan specifically a lot because he basically is the one who wrote Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
He did a lot of the original trilogy stuff. And so when Disney bought Star Wars, they tapped Lawrence Kasdan to write The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
But also they wanted him to write the Solo movie because, he's often credited as this guy that he knows the Han Solo character the most. But also because of his writing on Empire Strikes Back, people kind of assume, Lawrence Kasdan, if you're going to write a Han Solo movie, why not get the writer that wrote the best Han Solo movie, right?
Yeah, right.
But he, after writing Force Awakens, he was a little tired, so he asked his son Jonathan to help him out. So the Kasdans wrote it together, and they suggested Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. And do you know who those directors
Lego
are?
movie guys?
Yeah, they directed the Lego movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, 21 Jump Street. Yeah. Really talented directors, and their style is very, I don't want to say loosey-goosey, but they are open to exploration, and they like kind of, apparently what happened was they were taking their time with scenes, they were letting people do improv, but because this is Disney and they run like a really tight ship, there was some concern like, this is taking really, really long, it's going a lot longer than we thought it would. I think Alden Ehrenreich actually talked to Kathleen Kennedy specifically and was like, I don't know if this is going to work out well. It seems like, and again, I'm not saying either party's visions were wrong because, I mean, look at Lord and Miller's work.
Their track record stands for its stands on its own.
Pretty fucking great. And
speaks for itself.
From what I understand, when Kathleen Kennedy and the rest of Lucasfilm decided to axe them, it was a little bit of a surprise to them because they were like, and they weren't like, publicly at least, they weren't like, what the fuck? They were like, oh, okay, differences of opinions.
Yeah.
But it seems like the big difference is like they were under the impression like they had this capital where they could sort of play around and explore things and not stick to this regimented tight script that Disney likes all of their big franchises to play with. Like this is how Marvel movies work. They're very regimented and all that stuff. So when Lord and Miller were given the boot, they hired Ron Howard to step into the directing shoes. Ron Howard, an amazing director.
Yeah.
But apparently, Lord and Miller had already filmed they filmed a lot of the movie. When Ron Howard came on board, they had decided that 85% of Lord and Miller's work had to be reshot.
Oof.
Which accordingly, and I don't know how the math exactly shakes out, but the number that you see online is that 70% of the movie is Ron Howard and only 30% of Lord and Miller's cut remains.
Wow.
So this movie essentially had to be made twice, basically. Lord and Miller made it, and then Ron Howard made it, which ballooned the budget. So when this movie performed not terribly, but because of that high cost at the front end, it barely met its budget, and so that's why you don't really see these solo movies anymore.
Right.
I think that's why they made the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie into the TV show that we ended up seeing, which was a bad call because that would be a much better movie than a TV show.
It's a bad show.
It is a bad show. But it sucks because I feel bad for Ron Howard when you listen to interviews with him because you can tell he's like, I didn't really want to take over for those two dudes because they're really cool and I really like their work.
I think he made a good movie. I don't know why it's not. He's
just a humble, nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did the best with what he had, and he turned around a solid action flick. Mm-hmm. As far as I'm concerned. So.
And honestly, the look of this movie, I feel like, and I don't know how much you want to give this to Ron Howard's lay on his feet, but I think the look of this movie is a really this looks when I think of what's the Star Wars aesthetic, this movie encapsulates it.
Yeah.
I think if you watch Andor or Rogue One.
Yes.
I think Rogue One technically came out before this one, right?
That one came out in 2016. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but that look from Rogue One and this movie, and then it carries into Andor and The Mandalorian, that's the Star Wars look to me.
That is what I term tech Star Wars, because it's all about this chunky metal 1970s inspired just tech. There's no lightsabers. There's no prequel starships. It lacks the finesse and polish of that type of that pre-Empire Star Wars, but also the mystical side. It doesn't have that. So it's got this really gritty, based in the real world look that I just I love it so much.
Yeah.
So
the blocky give me Star Wars that's blocky and has sideburns.
Yes.
And
sideburns are essential.
Sideburns are essential.
To techie Star Wars. That's what you want.
I know. I love it so much.
Weird mustaches for no reason.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes. Well, let's get into it. Let's do the recap. We got a lot to get through here. We open up. It's Corellia, baby. We get, instead of the opening Star Wars crawl, we get kind of a
revamped text.
It's more the Blade Runner style text where it's crime in Corellia is through the roof.
They took a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away font and just repeated it as the crawl, but it doesn't crawl. It just fades into.
Fun fact, the other movies that begin with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, if you scroll up, it's this text. We finally see it after so many years.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just weird how that works out. But we get a bunch of nouns that are going to be important into this movie. Nouns like crime, nouns like Corellia, hyperfuel, Lady Proxima, a character that is so important that I'm sure you didn't already forget about her before starting to listen to this.
Yes.
But we see a young Han Solo. He's hot wiring a speeder of some type.
Yeah.
And he steals it. He lifts it, baby.
shot of that die too.
Oh my gosh, dude, the fucking dice. Okay. Okay. And Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it in our Last Jedi episode when they're like, oh my God, Han Solo's dead. Thank God we have this dice that, is synonymous with Han Solo, his dice.
Right. Yeah.
And we talked about how
they sort of retcon this dice into being important to the story of Han.
This movie exists solely to give context to the dice.
This should be called Dice, a
Solo
Star Wars story.
Like, seriously, you could almost I imagine instead of a director's commentary track, this movie has like someone just going, hey, you remember the dice? Oh, but did you see that dice? Quick, pan to the dice. Do a close-up of the dice.
And you took note of all of the close-ups of the dice, right?
Dice shots, yep.
Yeah.
This is dice shot number 1.
Dice shot 1.
Because, hey, remember, this is important.
Yeah.
Right? This is dice.
This opening scene to me looked kind of like the end of Heat. Like, it's got that Michael Mann grit to it. It's really weird.
That actually makes a lot of sense because when Lawrence Kasdan and his son were writing the movie, they used the movie Heat as an inspiration.
Didn't.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. Really? Seriously?
They used there are 3 films of inspiration, or there are 4 films of inspiration for this movie. Was Treasure Island, Heat, Unforgiven, and several Coen brothers films.
Okay. Well,
it's funny that you noticed.
They nailed that part.
Yeah.
So yeah, this whole first act just looks like it could be lifted. Minus the weird dogs and the tech. It's just got that gritty, filmy look to it. Mm-hmm. It's good.
Just put Al Pacino in there.
Yeah. Hooah! I'm trying to get to Corellia. I told you, baby.
Lady Proxima. Hooah!
You're going to have to share me with all the crooks. She's got a great ass.
Lady Proxima?
She got a great ass. Did I just spike the mic?
I didn't know you could do a bullseye. That's so funny. I love the scene because as he's driving to, you kind of see Corellia is like a manufacturing planet. It's like gross. It's all industry and pollution. You can see Star Destroyers being built in the background.
Cool. Yeah.
Like this is a planet that's totally kind of held together by the crime and the empire itself.
Pause. Do we know when in the timeline this falls? How old is Han supposed to be in this movie?
Around 14 years after Revenge of the Sith. So about 6 years before A New Hope.
Okay. So he is... How old is he in A New Hope?
I feel like he's supposed to be 30.
Yeah.
Around 30. So he's probably in his early 20s.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, 24,
cool.
Maybe younger. Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's trying to get into I wrote down his hostel. It's some sort of or I don't know what you call it. Those houses where you store street urchins and shit. Like criminals would be like, all right, kids, get in here. Like Oliver Twist's type place. And this particular place is owned by Lady Proxima. And you kind of hear some kids who are fighting over stuff that they stole. Oh, Lady Proxima's going to give me a quarter portion for this one.
New Star Wars loves to make poor people work for portions. I don't know why they've leaned so hard into that one specific part.
It's kind of, it's weird that they're now Disney's sort of understanding, we have all these random things we can pull from our own movies now.
Right. Like the dice.
Like the dice, yeah. And then I have this note, the 2 kids fight and the one kid steals the other's kids. And I just wrote fucking Lex because his name was Lex in the captions. But we meet Kira, played by Daenerys Targaryen herself, Emilia Clarke.
What? You definitely did not stall to remember that name.
Emilia Clarke?
Yes.
Totally did not. No. Why are you calling me out like that? No. So what are your thoughts on Kira? Because I know when she popped up on screen, you were telling me some stuff.
So I turn to you and obviously trouble ensues. They get away, blah, blah, blah. We'll get into all that. But I feel like this might be my hot take.
Oh, I love hot takes.
My hot Star Wars take. I think Han and Kira are a better match than Han and Leia. I think they just have such good chemistry right off the bat. They're just like on the same level. And maybe that's why Han and Leia work so well together, because she's more of like a foil to what he naturally is. Mm-hmm. And Kira essentially is more like him. So maybe long term they wouldn't last, but right now at 24, I love these two. I wouldn't it's kind of sad that we didn't get more of them together, because I really liked their relationship and how much on-screen chemistry they had together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's my hot take. Sorry.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
In that I think Emilia Clarke and Alden Ehrenreich have great chemistry with these characters.
Yeah.
You immediately are kind of on Team Kira because
I like her. Yeah.
She's in the same situation as he is.
Yeah.
They're both scum rats. Is that what they're called by Dragon Proslators?
I think so. Yeah.
Scum rats. And they clearly love each other, and they're willing to kind of stick their necks out for each other.
Yeah.
And sweet. And they're two attractive, charismatic young people. But I mean, I do love Han and Leia. It makes more sense. Yes. I'm
not saying they're bad. I'm just saying there's something about these two that I'm just like, God, I just wish they had more on-screen time together as a couple. Because I just liked seeing them together, like escaping and doing their stuff.
I did some research into the character of Kira, because I was like, does she come back in like the EU at all in some way? And there's actually like a comic book series about her
that came out after this movie.
Yeah. And really? It actually shows what Kira was doing during the Galactic Civil War, the original trilogy. And there's some like really cool, like her and Leia meet at some point, and just
why?
Well, because like she I mean, a spoiler alert for the rest of the movie, but Kira ends up running Crimson Dawn.
Right.
And so through Leia trying to find out where Han is after he's frozen in carbonite, that gets her in contact with Crimson Dawn. And so it sounds like a pretty cool story, actually, to see how Kira ends up, not like helping the Alliance in a way that is like undercover.
Yeah.
I want to go read that eventually, but I have not. But Kira kisses him. So he's got some coaxium, and he's like, "Oh, this is worth 500 or 600 credits. We can buy our way out of the control zone and finally leave Corellia." And she's like, "Ride or die, baby. Let's go."
Yep.
But before they can, Lady Proxima's number 2, Moloch.
Lady Proxima's so hot.
Oh my God.
It's a sewer slug. She looks so good.
Tell me more about Lady Proxima. I wrote her down that she's a turd lady.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, sewer snake could be also turd.
Lady Proxima.
Is she like a combination of like a practical effect with CGI on top of her face?
I believe so, yeah.
Because she looks good. Like they did a really good job with this effect.
I love a puppet, man.
I know. It's so good.
Especially a wet puppet.
I know.
It's hard. How do you puppeteer a wet puppet?
Scuba.
Yeah, Lady Proxima's like, "Where's my coaxium?" And he's a little bit defiant. He says like, "What if I never learn how to behave?" And he does this funny shtick where he's like, "I have a thermal detonator and I've armed it." "You just made a clicking noise."
Yeah. I like how he makes the noise. Like I guess like there are moments in Star Wars, specifically with thermal detonators, where they just assume that what's in their hand is what they say it is. And Proxima like knows he's full of shit. Yeah. And I love that she calls him out on that. Like, I love that he's not convincing enough with his miming or his charades to like sell this non-weapon.
And that's pretty good. That's also like a Han Solo thing. It's just like, it's never going to work, but he's going to try it.
Right.
Because why not?
Yeah, sure. Because if it worked, then great.
Right. I mean, clearly it does.
Right.
He ends up using it as, it's actually a rock. It's not actually a thermal detonator. He uses it to break a window, which causes the light to come into Lady Proxima's lair. And I guess she's allergic to sunlight.
Yeah. Because
she immediately starts burning. Is like, I got to get back into my toilet bowl.
Right.
And she slides right in. Kira and Han escape. I really like this really small character touch where they run to the speeder that he just stole, and Kira's like, "Oh, whoa, an M68," and he's like, "Yeah, it's pretty badass, right?"
Right.
they're meant for each other.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, they're excited. They're kind of talking about like, oh, we're going to leave this place. We're going to go see the galaxy. We don't have to take orders from anybody. But hey, Moloch shows up with his Corellian hounds, and a chase ensues. What did you think about this speeder chase between Moloch and?
I loved this chase. There's a moment where it looks like the focal length is like super long, so like everything's like squished in perspective. They did it in Force Awakens as well. I don't know why we've never done that before, but I love it. I want more of that specific style. And they use it, I think twice in this scene. And just like the frenetic action of the chase itself, like the way they're speeding along a dock, right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And then the way the chase ends by them going up on their side and then just like running out of steam because they're scraping against the wall. It's just such a good, like, Han has never been great with tech. Like, he's smacking the Millennium Falcon to make it work. And his, like, everything around him tech wise just like kind of doesn't work. And I love that about him. And this wasn't necessarily his fault, but it shows like, yeah, he's smooth, but like, he's not that smooth. Like he's still rough around the edges. He's still full of faults. And I like how this high-speed chase scene just sort of ends with a crawl and a stop. Yeah. And let's get out. Like this is the end of the line.
Well, that doesn't work.
Yeah. So there's no like big, like, final explosion or moment of clean getaway necessarily. But, I just think like, even though you can tell he's flying by the seat of his pants, it reinforces like he has no plan. Yeah. He doesn't know where he's going or what he's doing. He's just making it up as he goes.
Yeah. I do feel a little robbed though that we don't see the extended sequence where they escape, but then you see Moloch and the dogs like walking down the alley. Oh god damn it. He's like climbing over the speeder like I'm gonna get you. Hold on.
And then he wants to make out inside the like fish
that's a deleted scene.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That was we just discovered this. I don't know how we never noticed this, but if you go into Disney Plus, if that's how you're watching these movies, you can see like deleted scenes and stuff. So we watched the Solo deleted scenes, and there's a bit where he and Kira hide in like
this like eel container. Like they take the lid off and like hop in this water with all these eels.
Yeah,
and then
and Moloch and them like walk past, and there's this moment where Han goes in to kiss her, and she's like, "Are you trying to kiss me in the eel thing?" And he's like, "Didn't you just put your hand on my leg?" And she's like, "No." And then it smash cuts to him like bursting out, like pulling an eel out of his pants and stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So not only, but this scene's also important, Phil, because not only do we get another dice shot,
so we're up to 2.
We get 2 dice shots in this
3?
one sequence.
Oh my God.
3 dice shots.
Yeah. The speeder they steal, he has to take time to throw the dice over the rear view.
Yeah. That's his speeder now. He's definitely going to own it for a very long time.
Yeah. Right.
But they end up going into the Coronet spaceport. They're hiding. They're trying to be inconspicuous. There's a lot of fascist shit happening. You see the Empire. I don't know how anybody gets anything fucking done in the spaceport because it looks like at any given moment, Stormtrooper's like, "Hey, what are you doing over here?"
We get our first female guard in the captions too. Because guards can't. Because guards are right.
Stormtroopers can't be a gender neutral term. You have to specify it's a stormtrooper.
Disney needs to make sure you know it's a woman.
Yeah, go woke or go, bro.
So silly.
But yeah, he tells her, "Don't look back." She's really worried about, once we leave, it's going to be really scary. We got to be careful. We might get human trafficked.
Right.
Basically. And he's like, it ain't going to happen. Here, take my dice. Dice shot number 4.
Yes. Dice shot number 4.
and they bribe an Imperial guard with their coaxium.
Oh, the most sci-fi moment of this scene is they cut and nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's like no one cares.
There's this huge line, and the Empire causes this big and they like pull someone out of the line and
Walks right to the front.
They walk right in front of people, and people are like, I guess. No,
we've been here for an hour, but I find it fine if you want to.
This is happening a galaxy far, far away, because it happened if that fucking happened in happened to McDonald's.
Oh yeah,
people like, hi,
it'd be a shooting.
Stormtroopers,
crazy.
Can you get these line cutters? I think one of them has dice.
Did you notice the gate in this scene, like the actual gate?
Oh, in what way?
It has the design of the Bespin flooring.
Oh, like the carbonite chamber flooring?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Just a nice little detail.
Just a little fun.
I like that.
Observation I saw.
Little flair. Hey, man, I like your observations.
Thanks.
Keep them coming.
Thanks.
Keep them coming. But they bribe the guard. She lets them through, but right as they walk through the threshold of the Bespin floor gate, Moloch's two little cronies kind of pop out of nowhere and they grab Kira.
Motherfucker.
The gates close down, and it's this really sad moment where he's like, Kira, and she's like, Han, run, I'll come back for you. And he has to make a break for it, unfortunately. He has to leave Kira behind. Thankfully, though, he escapes with fashion. There's like an extended sequence of Han like grabbing a coat and then grabbing a hat and then grabbing another coat. And he's just like, I will get out of here with fashion.
Fashion, style, looks.
And he's kind of hiding out. He's seeing more fascist shit happen. And then he hears an old familiar tune in Star Wars, the Imperial March.
I thought you were going to say jizz.
Can you imagine the Imperial March, but in jizz? The jizz version of Imperial March?
Wow. That's got to exist, right? Yeah. That's got to exist.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's type in Imperial jizz. And see what comes up on
don't
Google.
type in that. Do not Google. You can Bing it, but don't Google it.
I'm going to Lycos this.
Going to ask Jeeves.
Hey, Jeeves. What are your thoughts on Imperial jizz? I like it. But this is the first time we really see that the Imperial March is an actual like in-universe song that they use for recruitment stands in the galaxy.
It's wild.
Like, serve your galaxy. Sign up today.
We also see like how like awful the troopers are too. Like I think they are like the most unhinged in this scene. Like they're like beating people up and like just being punks, just being bullies.
I don't know how like there's any sort of civilization happening.
I know
on this planet because no joke, they probably beat the shit out of no less than 20 people.
I know, it's crazy.
In this 5 minutes, and they're all just people lining up to go to McDonald's.
Yeah, but I think it's good because I think we forget like how stormtroopers were supposed to be feared, and like most stormtroopers up to this point were just like the background guys who can't hit the broadside of a barn, and they're just kind of jokes at this point. But in this scene specifically, they're like, oh, these guys, like you wouldn't want to run into these guys. Like they're pretty bad dudes.
Yeah, and I wish more Star Wars media would make a meal out of making stormtroopers worth a damn.
Yeah.
Like Andor does a pretty okay job of that. This movie, at least in this scene, does it. Because I mean, like I always think of that scene from The Rise of Skywalker when Poe, Chewie, and Finn are running through the hallway and they're just like, they kill like 50 stormtroopers without even blinking an eye.
Yeah.
It's like, just like if ever I hear an Imperial guy go send in the stormtroopers, it's like, oh no, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
But Hans decides his only way out of Corellia at this point is to sign up for the Empire and join the Imperial Academy and be a pilot. So he goes to the recruitment officer who's like, what's your name, son?
And then your favorite scene in the whole movie.
Fucking hate this scene. I like this movie. I fucking hate this scene. Okay, so what happens is he's like, what's your name, son? He goes, Han. And he's like, what's your last name? Who are your people? He's like, I have no people. And then the props to the actor, because he's like, making a meal of it. He's like, Han, he doesn't have any people. He seems to be alone.
Yeah. Han alone. Han by himself. Perfect.
But yeah, he goes, Han Solo.
Yeah.
And I just hate it. Like, why can't his name just be Han Solo? Why does it have to be like a cute little fucking joke? Because some balding Imperial in the back ass of the galaxy was like, I'm going to be funny in my paperwork today.
I don't hate this as much as you, but I get it. It's a silly way to explain his last name. And also, like, he doesn't have a last name. Like, I just find it hard to believe that he just doesn't, like he never came up with one himself.
Right. Like, I'm Han, kicks your ass.
Like, he's 24.
Yeah.
You've gone 24 years with no name, Brew? Brew.
Come at me, bro.
Bro.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the scene would have turned around if it lasted like a second longer and the Imperial actor just looked right at the camera and then gave like a smile like, fuck you. I already got your money.
I wish he had done that take where, remember when I sent you that clip of Red Alert 3 where Tim Curry
Space
is like, I must go to the one place where capitalism doesn't exist. And then there's like a pause and he's actively trying not to laugh.
Yeah.
And he's like, space. I wish this guy had just gone full like silly and done this, because that would be so much funnier and better than.
Or if he did the little bit from Zoolander where he's like, your name is Han Solo. That would have been better.
Yeah.
I honestly wish I had that Tim Curry thing on my board, because that's such a legendary thing.
I love it.
Go look that up. Like Tim Curry, Red Alert 3.
Yeah.
So good. Spice. But he says something along the lines of like, I'm going to be a best pilot. When can I fly? And they're like, oh, real soon. And then it smash cuts. Bam! Han Solo's in a battle. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's very chaotic. We get a 3 years later. Was
the deleted scene where he got demoted, or was that actually in the movie?
There's a deleted scene where he's
actually
cool. He's a TIE fighter pilot, and he's at some sort of academy review, and
he's explaining his actions for why he did that.
Yeah, because he did some sort of maneuver to save another pilot, and they're like, "Why would you save another pilot? We fucking hate those."
Right. They're a dime a dozen.
We don't even put shields on our TIE fighters. Right. What the fuck? And there's a funny little edit in that deleted scene. It was like, when can I start flying again? And he's like, oh, we'll have you flying real soon. Smash cut to him being blown in the air in mid-band. Yeah. It's kind of a on the nose edit, but I think
it's funny. It's you got to keep in mind what this movie is.
Yeah. This movie knows what it is.
Yes. And that's why I like it, because it's not trying too hard to be something it's not. It knows exactly what it is. It stays within its lane. Mm-hmm. Love it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
But it's the Battle of Mimban, which is kind of a cool throwback. If you're a comic book reader, Mimban's a planet that's existed in the Clone Wars and stuff. It's really neat. He's a mud trooper. And there's this funny bit where like his lieutenant or somebody is like, come on, Solo, victory is just over that ridge. Let's go. And then just blows up and gets hit with a fucking rocket.
Yeah. Did you get the vibe of the brown coat war from the first scene in
from Firefly?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
This just had that look to it. That like really rugged at night,
smoky
battles lit by like flaming barrels and explosions in the sky. Like it just had that good look to it.
And then that song started playing, Take My Love, Take My Land. Also,
I think they're like kind of dressed in like brownish armor, right?
Yeah, they have like duster jackets on.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's. Well, I mean, they were covered in mud, so I guess they were wearing brown armor. Yeah.
They also they critically do not have stormtrooper helmets on because you need to see who they are.
Yes.
So their faceplates are gone.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they're not real bad guys because they do not have accents.
This is true. All Imperial officers have to have accents.
Yeah.
But yeah, I call this this is the World War I planet.
Yeah.
Because it's muddy, it's gross, it's scary.
There's a trench.
Yeah, there are trenches, but he sees a couple of soldiers, a captain who's got some really cool revolver ocelot style pizzazz to his pistol flares.
Yeah.
And his name is Beckett, and it's war.
Played by
none other than Woody Harrelson.
There you go.
Which, oh my God, can I just say, we haven't mentioned Woody Harrelson yet in this review, but how did we make it to the year 2018 without putting Woody Harrelson in Star Wars?
I know.
Because he fits. He's perfect. Like he's
good.
He was meant to be in a Star Wars.
Yes.
I love him so much. But Han immediately takes a liking to these two guys. There's this thing where, stick with me, you mouthy scooch, and you'll make it to the next day. Let's go. And they once more go onto the breach, and we get a nice fade to the next day. They've clearly survived. It's morning time. He's trying to follow Beckett around, and Beckett's like, hey man, mind your business. You're not part of my platoon. Get out of here. But he notices one of the dudes that's with Beckett, named Rio, has arms on the back pulling up his pants. So there's something amiss with these two dudes. But he eventually catches up to Beckett and I guess his lieutenant, Val, played by the beautiful Tandy Newton. We love Tandy Newton here.
Yes.
But they're watching a bunch of AT haulers, and they're kind of making note of like the timing of them landing. And Han immediately knows they're up to no good. They're doing some sort of score, and he wants in.
This is the first time that I feel like the actor was doing Han like a one-to-one Han. Like his acting here like made me think like this is truly Han here. Mm-hmm. Like this was the first scene where I like connected with him.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of movies and stories that are about like honor amongst thieves, that type of thing. Yeah. And I love the back and forth banter between these three, because Val's like, you want me to shoot him? And he's like, no, snap his neck, it's cleaner.
Yeah.
But then Han thinks he's got the leg up on him. He's like, I think the lieutenant over there would really love to know about, how you stole an officer's uniform.
A bit of light blackmail there.
Yeah. But I love Woody Harrelson's acting, because he's like, blackmail. And he immediately just turns to the lieutenant and he's like, hey, lieutenant, we got a deserter over here. Because he's wearing a captain's uniform. Yeah. So the lieutenant's like, oh, yes, sir, Captain. I'll take care of him right away.
And if he says some shit about us, it's not true.
Yeah. You can't believe a word about him. Right. Don't believe anything he says about us.
Right.
But we find out that his third compatriot, Rio, is an Ardennian. He's an alien who
played by
Jon Favreau.
There you go.
Voiced by Jon Favreau. Although I would love to imagine actual Jon Favreau doing the mocap for Rio, like climbing around the ship and everything.
Yeah. Fun fact, he actually has 4 arms, and we never see the lower 2. So
wow.
Yeah.
Is that
crazy?
Is that how he's able to hold the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe up on his own shoulders?
Oh, shots fired.
Got him. So we do the blackmail, and the lieutenant's like, take this deserted away, feed him to the beast.
What beast?
We have a beast?
We have a beast?
And he's thrown in a mud pit, and who's the beast, Phil?
Chewbacca.
What a Wookiee. Fuck yeah. So we finally get to see Chewbacca, this time played by Juna Swatamo. I'm butchering that name, I know, but he's the gentleman who plays Chewbacca in the modern films, because Peter Mayhew's no longer with us, unfortunately. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this whole scene introducing Chewie to Han?
I think this rules because Chewie looks scary as hell in this scene. And we know Chewie. We know Chewie's not a bad guy, but in this scene, like the way it's lit, the way he's muddy, the way it's like this shitty pit that he's in, and the fact that the first time you see Chewbacca, he's literally chained to Han. It's just such I think this is a good way for them to meet. They meet as adversaries, and within minutes they're finding their way to join up and collectively get out of there. Mm-hmm. And the fight scene that that ensues between them, I think is well acted and choreographed. There's a longer cut of this in the deleted scenes. It's like 12 minutes long. It's
pretty long, yeah.
It's crazy long, but I'm glad they cut a lot of it out, because I think it would have gotten a little bit much. So
yeah, it's a little
good call on that. But No, they work together to essentially take down the central post because since they're in a pit, there's like a big grate above them with two guards looking down, watching the show. And
Kill him slower.
Han actually reveals that he speaks Wookiee, not well, but he speaks Wookiee, which is the first time we've heard Han actually speak Wookiee. Sorry, Shuriwook or whatever.
Shuriwook.
Sorry.
I thought you were a fan.
Yeah. But anyway, so they work together to take down the central post and bring the whole top of the pit in and make their escape as buddies, even though they met on the battlefield of this pit. So I think there are worse ways that they could have met. I think this way is a pretty fun way for these two legendary dudes to meet.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. The Shuriwook speak is a little silly, but it's in the context of this movie, so it works.
Yeah,
So
it's good.
Because I mean, you have to understand, like, how I don't know. I guess I would have how would he know that language is like the one question that might be raised, but like, because is there a lot of Wookiees in Lady Proxima's den?
Maybe there was one back home that he worked with before. I don't know. We don't know that detail.
Was that Al Pacino's character was the Wookiee in Lady Proxima's den?
Yes.
Listen here, kid. I'll teach you how to. Yo, what an ass!
She got a great ass. Yeah. No, I don't think we necessarily need to know that detail. I don't think it would be as interesting to know than if we just like try to headcanon it.
Yeah,
it's whatever.
It might fall into the category of like, do we really need to know how Han Solo got his last name? It might fall into that category.
Exactly right.
The answer is no. We did not know.
It doesn't matter.
He got his last name.
It's clear too that like he doesn't speak Wookiee well, so it's like broken.
Yeah. I love that, like, yeah, I speak a little, not a lot. Like,
yeah, but so that's good. Funny too, because then he knows that Chewie speaks his language as well. So I don't know. It's a good scene. I like it. I like how they meet. No notes.
No notes. Zero notes. Well, they escape. They break out, and immediately Han's like, because they try to go separate ways, but they're still chained together. So Chewie's like dragging Han around.
Yeah.
Finally, Han's like, hey man, you need to know how to trust me. I have really good friends who are waiting for us.
Ship takes off.
And the ship takes off. Yeah. And I love this little bit where it cuts to Rio and the ship like, whoa, is that a Wookiee? This kid's starting to grow on me.
Rio rules.
Rio's one of my favorite characters
Rio.
in Star Wars ever. Like, he will never have a deeper sleep than curled up in a Wookiee's lap. God, I want the expanded universe comic about Rio cuddling in Wookiee laps.
I know. Like, the worst thing about this movie is just like you don't get enough of Rio.
Yeah. You'll find your happiness in Rio.
Right.
Yeah. And then we get one of my favorite cutaways is Han and Chewie showering together. Fucking like, because they're covered in mud and you get to see like Han's feet and then like these two Wookiee feet like step up to him and are uncomfortably close. And just that cut of Han looking up to him like, you think we couldn't have done this separately? Or something like that.
Yeah.
That makes me laugh.
Yeah, that's good.
They have a little conversation outside on the ship where he asks him what his real name is. He's like,
is this where they're below?
Yeah. They're in that like sort of.
I like the design of the ship. It's like a ship on top and then there's like an exposed like
walkway,
catwalk beneath it.
Yeah, I think I heard one of them call it an AT hauler at some point. Is the name of that ship.
Nice.
So that's kind of cool. But yeah, they're talking about like, what's your name? Chewbacca. Well, I ain't saying that every time. We got to figure out something else. But Beckett lays out their plan. What they're here on this planet to do is a train heist. Phil,
my favorite kind of.
What makes a movie, a book, a video game instantly better?
Train level.
Train level
rules every single time. There's no bad train scene or train level. If there's action on a train, it always rules.
It always rules. Agreed. I mean, that's just science.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's just science.
Sorry, anti-vaxxers. That's just science. All right. Train levels make everything better. All right. If we could figure out how to inject train levels into us, we'd all be better as a society.
Exactly. I've been saying this for years.
So this is a long going inside joke with Phil and I, where we would play video games, and if there was a train level in them, they're like instantly better.
So much better.
Uncharted 2, best train level.
The best train level. Sorry.
But yeah, they're gonna rob this train of a bunch of coaxium. Val is a little worried about it. She's not happy that they're working with a couple of morons, and she looks right at the two of them.
Yeah.
She name drops Bosk at a certain point, which is one of the cool bounty hunters from Empire Strikes Back. Beckett mentions how, like, hey, after we complete this job, we'll have enough money. I can finally go back and learn how to play that Val chord.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to see what that is.
Yeah.
But we cut to, there's like a pre-heist team bonding scene where they're all around a campfire.
Yeah.
Rio's asking Han about his backstory, and Val immediately is like, oh, he's doing this because of a girl.
Rio. He was so like, does she have sharp teeth? I love that detail.
Ooh,
that he's into
about the
sharp
girl.
teeth girls.
I bet she has the sharpest teeth.
He's into that.
Yeah, you look up Rio's search history. It's just like the sharp teeth porn bot.
Sharp teeth POV.
Rio, why is it just bite marks on your computer? This is weird. Yeah, and then he tells them about Kira a little bit. Val says, everybody needs somebody. You get you find out that her and Beckett are definitely an item because they kiss.
Yep.
They kiss. It's adorable. Chewie says he's searching for his family.
Yeah.
I do like this line where Han says, he says tribe or family. I can't tell. And Beckett says, what's the difference? I do kind of like that. Like, what's the difference between a tribe and a family?
Chewie's like, you could just ask me again. Like, I'm right here.
I could say yes.
You could just say tribe or whatever.
I'll just stand over here. Fuck me.
Yeah, I guess.
But Beckett, at some point, he disassembles an entire sniper rifle and makes it into Han's famous DL-44 blaster pistol. Which, do you ever think Han was like, oh, thanks. The whole rifle was kind of cool, too.
Ken and Niles, I got the parts to that.
You just made
just
me
in case.
A smaller gun.
This episode of Streaming Things is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's the first thing you'd do if you had an extra hour in your day?
Sleep.
You would sleep more.
More, yeah.
Okay,
Sleep
that's
more.
fair. Some people might go for a run, read an extra book. A lot of us spend our whole lives wishing we had more time. The question is, time for what? If time was unlimited, how would you use it? The best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule is to know what's important to you and make it a priority. That's what therapy can do. Therapy can help you find what matters to you so that you can do more of it. You can learn positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. You can get empowered to be the best version of yourself.
You can also nap.
You can also just nap. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, if you've never tried it, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/streamingthings today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/streamingthings.
April is here, the tomb is empty, and it's time to give a special thanks to all of our patrons who keep the lights on at Streaming Things. And I want to give a special shout out to our super patrons for the month of April. Thank you so much to Stanton Valentino, Maddlestat, Bryce Coppin, Susie Callahan, Anthony Corona, Sunshine, Huckleberry Cauliflower, Ashley Hazen, Mike from New Hampshire, Brett X, Emily Scarano, Lil Tickler, Svento7, Jay Scramo, Bluff Pum, A.K. Ashley Ray, Adam Busby, Wendy O'Laughlin, Jason Hawkins, Conrad, Kaylee Sampson, Rabbit Dog in a Barbie Car, Charlie Friday, Alexis Adler, Peaches, Emmy, Haley B, Joe Velez, John Collins, Amanda King, Trisha Bueller, Sun Loving, Mortal, Suzanne Rode, Jen Robinson, Kalisha Reeves, Aaron Armstrong, Kevin Strother, Ashley Powers, Stephen the Fifth, Casey McCain, and Enza. Thank you all so much from the bottom of our hearts. And with that, let's get back to the episode. But then we get the train level, and dude, I fucking love this train.
Oh, train level.
It's on this track that winds around a mountain, and they're like, hey, you know what would make trains more efficient? If you could put another train under the train.
Yeah.
And then you had two trains.
Double-decker train.
Double trains.
Yeah.
And then you have double the train level, which makes the train better.
Doubly as good.
Science has dictated.
Yes.
But they land on there. They're kind of doing their thing. They find out they have a ton of quaxium in there. That's going to be the best day of your life, my grabby little friend. But that's when the stormtroopers show up. And I do like that the stormtroopers in this scene have like magnetic boots.
Yeah.
So they can like just walk on the train, because the train, as it's doing turns, is like
it's banking.
Rotating and banking. Yeah, banking. That's a good word.
Thank you.
Because Beckett has to do like some, to be honest, pretty cool like rolls.
That's so cool.
He's rolling around on there. He looks like this might be the coolest Woody Harrelson's ever looked. I don't know. I'm open to some other submissions.
He's flipping. He's rolling. He's doing his thing. He's blasting dudes. He's being an action hero in every sense of the word.
Yeah, you understand why Han Solo would want to be this guy.
Yeah.
But it's at that moment that Enfys Nest shows up.
Now, I don't know if you told me this when we watched it or not, but is Enfys Nest the name of the leader or the group?
The leader.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the group called? Or is there a name for it?
I'm sure. I guarantee there's a name. My gut is to call them the Partisans, but I don't think that's right.
Okay. But essentially, Enfys Nest is a rogue group that's not with Han and Beckett and Val and Rio, and also not with the imps.
Yeah.
They are their own third party.
They're pirates.
And they want they want the loot off that train.
Yeah. So her group is called the Cloud Riders.
Oh, the Cloud Riders. Okay.
Cloud Riders in the sky. But these motherfuckers.
They just make a mess of this.
You know what?
plan.
The end of this movie, they try to like spin this whole like, oh, Enfys Nest is good. No, fuck that. Justice for Rio, okay?
Yes.
Enfys Nest, Cloud Rider jabronis hopped on board a ship that wasn't theirs.
And Val too.
That's sad too. But Rio, that adorable creature.
I love the scene in the ship where he's like trying to fly and he's like reaching back.
Because he's got the four arms and he has the two other arms have like two blasters.
But he takes a bolt in his shoulder, which apparently is where your heart is if you're that
Ardinian. If you're an Ardinian,
because it is enough to end his life.
I know, it's so sad.
Sucks.
Han Solo has to go up there and, it's his time to prove he's a good pilot. And before Rio passes, he does say like, you're right, kid, you're one hell of a pilot.
Yeah.
And man, I'm happy that Han got that validation from the legend Rio.
I know. And like, much like how we have to remember how ruthless the stormtroopers are in that first scene, we forget like how brutal blaster burns are too, because this takes him out. Like,
yeah, and it looks pretty nasty.
It does.
There's that line where it's like, it looks worse than it is. It's like, looks pretty bad. I don't know how it could be worse.
Right.
But Enfys Nest has a cool staff that like cuts Beckett's pistol in half, and then the other end has like some sort of concussion thing that knocks him away. Val is pinned down by Viper droids on the other end of the train tracks. So she's going to blow the train tracks and meet them up, but she's pinned down there. She can't escape. There's a lot's going on in the second. At the last second, Chewie uncouples the last of the ship so that their cargo compartment that they've kind of latched onto can like rise up over the canyon while the rest of the train falls. Yeah. Val ends up blowing herself up to destroy the bridge. It's real sad.
Rest in peace to two of the main group.
I know, it's top build characters. Tandy Newton
sucks.
John Favreau. I would have liked to have seen more of these characters. I'm gonna be honest with you. I did like them a lot.
Yeah.
But now Han Solo's ship is cabled to the cargo compartment, and so is Enfys Nest's Cloud Striders, and they're kind of battling over the cargo, but they're heading towards a mountain. Yeah. And finally Han calculates like, hey, we're gonna run into it. So he releases the cargo. Enfys Nest are her group is a bunch of jabronis. They can't hold on to it. So it kind of blows up and implodes the mountain, which is a pretty cool effect.
Really cool effect. Yeah.
But Beckett's like pissed.
Yeah.
He's so pissed. He punches Han, calls him a coward. He says, that wasn't our, heist we were doing. We were hired by Crimson Dawn.
There are two things in this scene that I don't like. One, Han should have seen the fact that he was about to get punched. And two, Beckett has gotten over Val immediately. Does not shed a tear for his partner in crime.
Hey, DTA, baby. Don't trust anybody. I don't think he ever really loved her.
I know, but it's just really sad and cold because they seemed happy together in that scene before the train. And then she dies and he does cry out, but that's it. There's no grieving of her. There's no lingering.
Hey, he made a snowman pile for her in Rio and he put twigs up on him. That had to take at least a half hour each.
Right. It's just, I don't know that when I look back on Beckett specifically, I'm like, man, that dude's cold.
Yeah. He's ice cold.
He's all about the treasure and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Don't trust anybody.
Right.
And you won't be disappointed.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, he says Dryden Voss, who is the leader of Crimson Dawn, he's not someone you want to be on his shit list. They owe him 100 things of coaxium. And he's, Beckett's like, well, I'm just going to go over and say hey man, I'm sorry. What can we do? But he's actually, and this is kind of one of the good things about Beckett. He's he doesn't know who you guys are.
Right.
Just leave. You don't want to know what it's like to have a price on your head. And it's Han Solo will know what that is like. But Han's, he's in it, man. He's in this life for good.
He's in it to win it.
Yep. Sorry I punched your face. It happens more than you think. And actually, I think this would have led to what I think is the best deleted scene that I wish they did not delete.
Okay. So when we watch the deleted scenes, there's one where they're simply walking through the snow.
The three of them. Yeah.
And Chewie and Han break out in a snowball fight. And it's 30 seconds long. It's super quick.
Yeah, there's no dialogue really. It's just the grunts of them throwing it, and Beckett is just staring at him what the fuck are these two doing?
It's very funny. I wish they had left it in.
They tackle each other and Chewie's throwing a big snowball on him, and then when they finally get up, Han just chucks one and starts running.
Yeah, it's great. It's great because he's still a young man. He's still a little bit silly. He's still a little bit of a kid.
Yeah.
So
and then who doesn't want to kid around with a giant dog like Chewbacca?
Right.
He's basically just a big dog, right?
Right.
But we get to see the really cool vertical yacht that is Dryden Voss's ship. There's a party in there. We get some smooth.
Who do we get singing it?
Booger Jar Man.
Yeah, Booger Jar Man.
Hey, your baby just doing the smooth jizz. Dude, Booger Jar Man has the voice of an angel.
Booger Jar Man
and then
sings a jizz better than anybody has.
Oh, yeah. If Figrin Dan and the Modal Nodes can get him on that.
They learned from Booger Jar Man.
Booger Jar Man's version. Take that, Taylor.
Yeah.
Because we got Booger Jar Man and Harmonica Face Girl, who's just kind of
tortured Booger Jar Man department.
Gonna sing this next song for the ladies. But we're introduced to Dryden Voss. He's killing an Imperial governor. And the one thing I like about Dryden Voss, who's played by Paul Bettany, is he's this refined, dignified character, but he's he's
scary.
He's scary. One, he is very scary, but he's so fake.
Yeah.
Because there's so many scenes oh my gosh, I heard about this thing. How are you? Are you okay? I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
He's a horrifying dude.
Yeah. Psychotic.
Do you want to know a little bit of a sad story about the Dryden Voss character?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, moving on.
Yes, please.
So when Lord and Miller were making the movie, we talked before how they had most of the movie completed.
Yeah.
Dryden Voss was actually played by a completely different actor.
Oh, no. Who was it?
So Dryden Voss was actually originally supposed to be a animated alien character that was and you can find concept art of this character, but he's kind of this. He's described as a half mountain lion, half human looking alien.
Okay.
And he was mocapped and voiced by the actor Michael K. Williams. Are you familiar with Michael K. Williams at all?
No.
Phil? So Michael K. Williams famously portrayed Omar from The Wire. That is a character that people, if you watch that show, people go apeshit over Omar. That's like the best character from that show. And people were really excited that Michael K. Williams is going to play a Star Wars character, specifically a crime villain, right? Because that's kind of like what that Omar character in The Wire was like a crime guy.
Sure.
So they were super excited about that. And when Lord and Miller were booted, they had to reshoot everything, right? So when they reached out to Michael K. Williams about coming back, he had already like made other plans and he couldn't come back for the reshoots. Oh. So they had to recast him entirely as Paul Bettany. Man. And there's this really heartbreaking quote where Michael K. Williams is like, it didn't work out. Congrats to Paul Bettany for getting the role. But hey, you know what? I'll be in a Star Wars project soon. Trust me. But unfortunately, Michael K. Williams passed away. I believe it was like 2018. It was shortly after the movie came out, I think. Michael K. Williams unfortunately did not get to be in a Star Wars movie, but he almost was in one. Yeah.
Jeez.
So what could have been? He passed away in 2021. I'm sorry, I said that wrong.
I wonder why they chose to like ditch the like half mountain lion look.
It probably was because they were so behind on the schedule and they had wasted so much money already. They're like, let's just get Paul Bettany and put some weird things on his face.
Some scars.
And we'll make the scars glow when he's really angry.
Angry.
But yeah, Han sticks out in a crowd. He's walking around this fancy dinner party. And who taps him on the shoulder, Phil?
Chewbacca.
Yeah, canonically, we find out that Kira tapping Han on the shoulder is similar to Chewbacca tapping him on the shoulder.
Yes. Chewbacca has the delicate hand of a lady.
Yeah, Emilia Clarke and Chewbacca have similar hand styles.
Yes.
But it's Kira.
Yay, Kira.
Yeah, he's so happy to see her. I love that look where he freezes and she's just smiling at him and he just like immediately hugs her like, oh my God, you're here. It's very cute. He notices that
Booger Jar Man's here, Kira's here, Chewie's here, the whole gang.
The whole gang. He does notice that she's been branded by Crimson Dawn. What's that all about? But yes, they kind of talk a little bit how happy they are to see each other. She says he looks good. I do love this line where she's like, what do we drink to? And he's like, well, we drink to, and then we see where the night takes us. The English language is confusing as fuck. Beckett's upset that he's talking to people and he doesn't realize, like Han doesn't realize that Kira is actually Dryden Voss's top lieutenant. She's the number 2.
Whoops.
Uh-oh. But they meet Dryden Voss. Again, Dryden is super fake. He's like, oh, fellow scrum rat. How great to meet you. A friend of Kira is an enemy of mine.
Yeah.
They talk. Dryden's super upset at Beckett. And this is the first sort of instance where we see that Dryden is scary because he like starts yelling at Beckett like, test me one more time. Test me. Do you know who I work for? I do like that little line drop of where he says like, do you know who I work for? Oh, who does he work for? Will we find out later in this movie?
Maybe.
Who do you think he works for? Like in the moment when you were watching this for the first time,
I had no idea.
Oh, I know who he works for.
I had no idea.
I didn't either. I thought they were going to be like, oh, Jabba the Hutt. Duh. That's like the only other gangster in Star Wars. It's not Jabba the Hutt, spoiler alert.
Right.
But yeah, they're mad. How are we going to make it up to get this coaxium? Han kind of mentions like, we could use unrefined coaxium. Maybe we go to Kessel.
You can see the Kessel Run thing happening from like a mile away in this movie.
I love it. I love that you see it coming together.
You just see it like, okay, I see how this is going to go.
As a lifelong Star Wars fan.
Like that one line, that one throwaway line from the first movie is like a whole plot point in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, as a lifelong Star Wars fan, just seeing the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs come together is kind of like, it's happening. We should go to Kessel, steal it from the Pikes. No one will know we're working for you because Dryden Voss is worried about upsetting the Pikes. They're another crime gang, a part of the syndicate of crime gangs in the galaxy. The risky thing about getting unrefined coaxium is it destabilizes and it'll blow up after a certain amount of time once you remove it from the Kessel vault.
Right.
And so they're kind of like, well, this is a bullshit plan anyway. But again, Han has he knows like another place called Savareen. It's off the books. It's a refinery place. We can do it there. Great. We have a plan. Kira, you're going with them.
Yes.
To make sure they can do a good job.
My next note is just Lando got Riz. So
okay. Yeah, because Kira's going to make sure they can do it, but they need a ship. They already got the pilot, Han Solo, but they need the ship. Kira knows a guy who has a ship. It's Lando Calrissian.
What's Lando doing?
He's playing Sabacc.
Ooh.
With some battle bots happening in the background.
Yes.
Who's never played cards while watching battle bots, you know?
Right.
But yeah, he's playing Sabacc, and what an introduction to Lando Calrissian.
Dude's got Riz.
Just the way he's just kind of sitting there, talking. Like I wasn't able to write down everything he was saying, but just some of the stuff he was saying was like so funny. Everything you've heard about me is true.
Yeah.
I love that little. He's not even looking. He's got his glass up. He's talking to Han Solo at one point, and this droid floats down and just refills his drink, and then he goes, "Thanks, love." I gotta say,
this scene, like the lighting and the design of all the people around the table, and just like the whole vibe of this corner that he's in playing these cards, perfect. Just chef's kiss. Love it. Want more of that. It's so good.
It's funny because Casino Royale, James Bond, Casino Royale, a lot of that movie is people playing poker.
Yes.
I don't play poker.
No.
I don't know the rules to poker.
Right.
But that movie does work because I think they do a good job of like, you know,
visually explaining it through the acting.
Yeah, visually explaining and then the tension of the dialogue between the characters. This movie is the same. Like Sabacc, not a fucking real game.
No one knows how
to play this.
Right.
You assume it's poker adjacent.
Right.
But the fun of the scene is just the interplay between Han, Lando.
Han, too. He intentionally mispronounces Han.
Han, going back to Empire Strikes Back when Billy D. Williams was like, Han!
Right.
We got to save Han!
Yeah.
That's the type of callback that I really enjoy about this movie.
Yeah.
It's subtle. It works. It's great.
Yeah.
But Han suggests that he has a ship called the VCX 100, which is a nice ship. And he kind of eventually coerces Lando into betting their ships together because they play Sabacc so well against each other that eventually it's just the two of them.
Right.
I do like the little montage of them eliminating the other card players.
Super good.
There's one where like there's this one alien that has like 10 eyes, and there's one eye looking at Han's cards. He's like, "Hey, buddy, keep all of them on your deck."
I love that.
It's cute.
Yeah. Every alien at this table is so colorful and just full of life. It's just like they really did a really good job of this specific scene.
Mm-hmm. I love it so much. Yeah. But like Han thinks he's got it played. He hands out his last deck. He's super happy. Everyone's cheering.
Yeah.
And Lando's like, "That would have been great, buddy. But sorry, my hand's better." And he has a card that he physically should not have because he's cheating somehow. We do see a shot of a little, like some sort of holder, like a card holder and contraption, like slide back into the wrist of his shirt or a sleeve, I should say.
Yeah.
So he definitely cheated, but I like how they cut to Han being mad because Han was counting cards.
Yeah.
Like that card physically was in the deck.
He knows it's not there. Yeah.
Yeah. He knows he cheated.
Uh-huh.
And as he's complaining to Kira about Lando cheating, you hear this, "Yoo." Lando shows up. He wants his ship. He sees Kira and he's like, "Oh, Kira, what are you doing with Harry and the boy?
What do we have here?
You truly belong with us amongst the clouds." "What are you doing, Harry and the boy?" He says, you know, he's like, initially he's a little scared. Like, "I thought me and Crimson Dawn were good." And she's like, "No, we're doing another job." And he's like, "Oh, well, I can fly the ship. I'm no longer retired." So you're kind of getting this, like, Lando's not a great liar.
Yeah.
You're kind of picking up that he's worse for wear. He's hard for money for some reason.
Right.
Because he's like, "Hey, I'm no longer retired. Circumstances change. If I'm doing this job, I'm going to get 50%.
Right.
And that's when Beckett chimes in and goes 25%. And we get this really great lore drop for Beckett. Like, "Beckett, you're the man who killed Aura Singh."
Yeah, that was crazy.
Casual Star Wars fans might not know who Aura Singh is, but she was a pretty big expanding universe character. She appears for like a second in episode 1. She's watching the pod race scene. Yeah. She's like this white alien with like an orange jumpsuit. She looks cool.
She has like a big red ponytail too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a thing coming out.
Yeah. Like an antenna coming out of her head. Yeah. So when just casually dropping that character was killed by Tobias Beckett.
Yeah.
It's like
crazy.
Oh, that's wild. I'm pretty sure the fall is what killed her.
Right.
But he gets Lando down to 25%. And that's when we're introduced to L337 or Leet.
Yes.
For you nerds out there. Did you just get that joke?
I actually did. I didn't get that till right now.
L337. L3 is voiced by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the incredible Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She is Lando's first mate. She's this droid that's all about equal rights. She has a tussle with Clint Howard.
She's sassy.
She's so sassy.
Love it.
She's so sassy. She's a sassy girl. L3, let go of the main man's face. I do like the character dynamics between L3 and Lando. It's fun.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah.
It's something I will say, I do think the L3 of it all in this movie is probably the weakest part of it.
Yeah.
That being said, I really enjoy Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah.
I think this character is fun and new and different.
Yeah.
And just
she doesn't feel like a droid.
No.
And I think that's maybe the biggest issue I have is like droids like probably shouldn't be this like emotive. Mm-hmm. And I mean like C-3PO has always been a scaredy cat and a dork, but she just like takes like the like human emotion up like 12 more notches.
Yeah.
Which is fun. Like I like it, but also like it is a change from what we know of droids.
Yeah. But I do like the implication of what her and her Lando's relationship is. Like that's kind of like a hell yeah, Lando. You would.
You dog.
They walk over to where his ship is. His ship is clearly impounded because they have to cut through.
She also calls him Landonus.
Landonus. I didn't know. Like, is that supposed to be his like canonical real first name, Landonus?
I assume so.
Did not.
I don't think she'd make up a name.
I don't know. L3 beats by her own drum.
True.
But his ship is clearly impounded because they have to like cut through a fence, and there's like, don't watch me. I can feel you watching. And she's like cutting in. And oh my gosh, it's the Millennium Falcon.
Yes. And Han reveals that his dad built those ships.
Yeah. Dude, it still hits me when the music kicks up and it's Han looking at the Millennium Falcon for the first time.
Yeah.
Hits me.
Yeah.
Hits me. But yeah, there's a fortified refraction restraint on the landing gear. And I love Lando's like, oh my God, this is terrible. I'm going to have words with someone over this. What a terrible mistake. Good thing you're here to bust me out of this.
Right.
And Beckett's like, I can take you out of this as well as 5% of your share.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't agree with it, but I accept it.
Yeah.
Fucking great.
The Falcon looks super clean.
Yeah.
Side too. Like the walls are like not full of dirt and grime. Like the floors are pristine. Like it's very strange to see a ship we know and love as this like
a kind of junk.
Yeah. Looks so fresh and clean and new.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And even like he's got that, is it the escape pod that's in the front mandibles?
The notch is filled in with the escape pod.
Yeah. It's clearly the Falcon, but it's pristine and new.
Yeah.
And I like that it starts off new because of course, like if Lando owns a ship, it's going to look like a pleasure yacht, you know?
Sure.
And
he's got his own cape room.
Yeah, exactly. We all need a cape room.
Yeah.
I really do like the design of the newer Falcon, the Lando Falcon.
Yes.
Landonus
Agreed. Version.
Han's dad worked on these ships. Kira's listening in on this whole thing. Lando's a mama's boy. And L3 kind of like scoots in abruptly and kind of disrupts everything. And she's like, my hips are jointed. Lando, you're gonna have to do that thing again later. And you can tell Lando's like, okay, yes, ma'am.
I guess.
But they have a cute little hand wave to each other when they launch the Falcon into light speed. I love that. They do like a little hand wave and a salute to each other. It's fun.
Yeah.
We find out Beckett is the one who taught Chewie how to play Jarek.
Yes.
How fun is that?
I know. It's great.
Kira's in the cape room, and things get a little romantic between the two of them.
Yeah.
Huh? They start making out. They're kissing. She's worried that he won't look at her the same way if he knew what she did in her past.
Womp womp.
And he's like, nah, just kiss me.
Yeah.
We get Beckett blocked.
Beckett.
It's either C-3PO or Tobias Beckett. Those are the cock blockers of the Star Wars universe.
It's crazy.
Beckett tells Han he's making a mistake. Maybe you don't know her well enough, buddy. We got a good crew going.
I mean, he has a point.
He does. And they have a good crew going, and there's only one rule in this crew. No girls allowed.
Yep.
All right? No girls allowed.
Which is why they killed Val.
You're right. Oh, no, she's gone.
Darn.
DTA, son, don't trust anybody. It's the only way to live, and that's the bottom line, because Tobias Beckett said so.
Is Stone Cold on this ship?
Yeah. Stone Cold Steve Austin used to say DTA all the time. So when he was like, don't trust anybody, I just immediately thought of Stone Cold.
Gotcha.
DTA. They make their way into the Acades Maelstrom, which is sort of like some sort of space anomaly that surrounds the planet Kessel. Yeah. There are carbon bergs right outside of the swirling mat. I kind of like that. That's a fun sci-fi word.
Yeah.
Like a carbon berg. What the fuck is that? That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
L3 and Kira talk about equal rights, and L3's a little worried. Like, so what are you going to do about your problem? That young male clearly is in love with you, and you're in Crimson Dawn. How's that going to work out?
Right.
And Kira's like, well, you're a robot. And Lando's a man. How's that work out? Yeah. And L3's like, oh, it works out.
Yeah.
Girl, don't give me. I love that this scene in Star Wars had some girl talk in it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny.
Of course, it doesn't pass the Bechdel test.
Not at all.
So.
Mining colonies are the worst, man. We finally see Kessel. For learning about this planet for so long, like since A New Hope, we've heard about the spice mines of Kessel.
Right.
And now we finally get to see him. Did the spice mines of Kessel live up to your imagination?
Pretty much.
Great.
I mean, spice mines. Like what did we expect? Like I expected just kind of a shitty place where you pulled things out of holes. So,
hey, I can show you a spice mine of Kessel in the other room. Let's go.
Ooh, penetrate cautiously.
It works.
No. I think I think it pretty much looks exactly the way that I thought it would.
Yeah,
it's a shitty mining planet.
Yep. Yep. And they're doing the classic. We'll pretend to be fresh slaves for the mines, and Kira's going to pretend to be Oksana Florence, who's selling them.
And Beckett wears the disguise that Lando wears
from Return of the Jedi.
Return, yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun little Easter egg.
Yeah, it's fun.
I do love how when she's like, I've got these slaves for you, like the workers, I don't know, like the dudes who work for the Kessel guys walk up and they are just like, oh, yep, they got teeth.
Yeah, right.
Sure do. They need those. But Kira does, like, she punches Han and she's like, yeah, that's for having a lip on you or whatever she says. But it's so she can give Han back
the dice.
The dice. Remember the dice. It's important to Han Solo's character.
Yes.
Wait there, Tool. Oh, yeah, that's right. Beckett's character name is Tool.
Yeah.
Tuul, and I thought that was funny that Tool. Amelia Clark was like, wait there, Tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go into the mines, shit happens, Chewie and Han break out, Beckett shoots some dudes.
Doesn't she mention Terrace Kasi in this scene too?
Yeah, Kira takes out the overseer of the mines, and
so karate in Star Wars is called
Terrace Kasi.
Yes. And based on a really bad fighting game from 1990, 7 or 8?
Something like that.
For the original PlayStation, it was a Star Wars fighting game called Masters of Terrace Kasi, and it was bad.
97, yeah.
Yeah. And I just love that they really wanted to get that that
Easter egg in.
deep cut in.
I'm just happy that Terrascasi is canon now. Like,
Right.
It's a dumb thing to throw in, but I fucking love it.
It was a bad game. It got made fun of for years, but I like that they're just like really trying to make it real.
We had a lot of fun with it though.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Just for context, that game has a 4 out of 10 on IGN.
That's high.
That's yeah. But yeah, so she knows Terrascasi. L3 liberates some droids. Eventually, she frees a fax machine at some point. I do love all the different cutaways of the different droids.
Yeah, it's fun.
Kind of celebrating their freedom. There's the one that's like stomping on the console.
It's silly. It's silly, but
it's very silly.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
You guys know me. I love a puppet.
Yeah.
I love a robot.
Yeah.
If I see a robot going freedom, like
Yes.
I'm in it. I'm into it. I'm in it to win it. But they essentially the droids also released the carbon life form prisoners.
Yes.
And so that means they create a prison riot. Chewie and Han are separated at some point because Chewie sees some other Wookiees and he wants to go help them out.
This movie has the best, I think, Wookiee fights because like Chewie's brutal in this scene. Like just like all the Wookiees like fighting their oppressors and just kicking ass. Like I don't think like we've seen Wookiees quite this like rough.
Yeah.
Like on other people to this degree.
Like there's that shot where he lifts one dude up and just like smashes his head.
Like
down
it
on
looks
the ground.
really good.
Gnarly.
I'm trying to think of any other like major Wookiee like fight scenes,
even in,
like hand to hand wise.
Yeah, even episode 3, even though that takes place on Kashyyyk, you only see the Wookiees go,
yeah, right.
It's cheer and throw their hands up in the air.
All guns.
Yeah, no, this is cool. I do like, there's like a skinnier Wookiee that kind of works with Chewie named Saga. And you know his name is Saga.
The mask does not look good on this Wookiee.
No, it does not. But you know his name is Saga because the Wookiees have like a human hype man that follows them around who has to keep going, Saga, this way.
Right.
He looks directly at the camera. Guys, his name is Saga. Just want you to know that.
Right.
This whole time that the prison break is going on, Lando's on a ship doing the Calrissian Chronicles.
Yes.
Which is, of course, he would do that.
Recording his memoir.
Fucking love that. But then, they get the coaxium, they push it out, Han and Chewie and Saga, and Saga's hype man. They all get out there. There's blazer blasts going everywhere. Lando comes out and throws the gun to Han, and you get a cool like scene with the two of them are like firing.
So cool.
It's so fun.
So cool.
L3's living her best life. Rebellion. She's so glad she took the job.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, L3 goes down.
Oh man, this scene where Lando runs to her. This one specific shot, incredible.
Yeah. He's like hopping over shit and sliding.
So cool.
Yeah. Yeah, L3's hit. Lando finds her. You know, he ends up like picking her up and like half her body falls off.
Yeah.
Chewie and Saga have one last moment, and we know it's Saga again because the hype man's like, Saga, we're leaving for the rest of the movie. Come on.
Right.
And you know, they tap Wookiee heads.
Bonk.
And Chewie runs back in to help his friends. And then Kira fucking comes out with rescue grenades.
Yeah. Like you couldn't have led with that.
She takes out the whole fucking base. It's like, where were you?
We've lost people in this fight.
L3's dead.
You could have led with the grenades.
But they flee back on the ship. They make a hasty takeoff. Han's the one flying it while Lando holds L3 as she passes away. There's this one shot where like, you know, Han needs a co-pilot. So Kira comes up. And he's like, hey, I need a co-pilot. And she sits down and Chewie's behind her. And the look Chewie has like, fuck me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Right.
I guess I won't co-pilot. The coaxium's not looking great. Beckett will, you know, go and check on that several times throughout the next few minutes. Yeah. You know, they're flying through the Maelstrom, and oh no, it's an Imperial Star Destroyer flying through the Maelstrom now. Ooh. Which that is a really cool visual, by the way.
Super cool.
A Star Destroyer,
and it takes up the whole thing too. It's huge.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And Han's like, yeah, I know these guys. They're not going to waste a TIE fighter battalion on one little freighter.
Well, they do.
Nah, they do.
Yeah.
Lando's really worried. Like, hey, we wasted a lot of time on the planet. We're not going to be able to get to Savareen in time.
Right.
We might as well just offload the shipment. And they're like, hey, we can't do that. And he goes, hey, no one can do the Kessel Run in less than 20 parsecs.
Right.
And Han's like, just you wait, brother.
Right. Which takes a hard right out to that storm.
Yeah.
Right into it.
Which is it's funny that they did this retcon, because as a kid, when Han Solo in A New Hope's like, it did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, it's the fastest ship in the galaxy. You're like, wow, parsecs is a measurement of speed. But it's a measurement of space and distance. Yeah. And so I do like how
they sort of make it right with this movie.
But does it make it the fastest ship in the fleet?
I mean, it did.
Or is it the most economical Yelp or
it took the fastest shortcut once.
Like it. Hey,
look, it doesn't have to be true for him to say it.
Look, kid,
he's just trying to drive home the point. Like, I'm fast.
Look, kid, she may not look like much, but I got Google Maps.
Yeah, right. Right.
I can avoid traffic if I need to.
Right.
There's this really fun bit where the TIE fighters are chasing them, and I like how the Han kind of flips the Falcon and bops the one TIE fighter into debris, and I like how they added in a bonk noise.
Bonk.
Mwah.
Yeah.
Beckett's in the gunner's turret. They're fighting around. There's this funny bit where he's like, Han's like, are they on us? And he's like a rash node on a Kalek. What? Like a Gargason's pelt. I don't know what that means. Yeah, they're on us. Finally, Chewie becomes the co-pilot because Kira realizes like, this is out of my league. And we find out Chewie is...
The music specifically swells at this point when he steps into his seat, and it's just like, oh, it's so good. So good.
Reunited, and it feels so good.
So good. Love it.
Yeah, you can't have a Han without a Chewie.
No.
Right?
No.
Oh, man. But yeah, so Kira uses Lando's capes to put out some fires, and Lando's like, everyone's ruining my stuff. The steel is getting worse all the time.
He's also like still nursing a blaster bolt to his arm. Like he's like really nursing that thing too.
Yeah. Steel's getting worse all the time, my friend. Han does a trick that he picked up from his pal Needles. His buddy died doing this, but Han makes it work.
Worse.
There is this really fun bit because Beckett's on the turret and the turret gets shot and he's like, it really hurt my thumbs. Yeah.
I love that joke.
Hurt my thumbs. Eventually they have the idea that L3 has the best navigational computing software in the galaxy. So they're like, hey, why don't we plug her up into the ship?
So they harvest her brain.
Yeah.
Just plug it straight into the ship.
Again, the L3 stuff is the worst part of the, not worst, it's the weakest part because I feel like it raises more questions than answers where it's like, does L3 still have consciousness? Is she happy with how her, like, she didn't want to be held down as a droid, but now she's literally a ship that can't go anywhere?
The sassy chip was destroyed in that fight, so she doesn't have the personality that she did.
I think she does though, because if you remember, there's that scene in Empire Strikes Back when C-3PO is talking to the Falcon and he's like, your ship is quite peculiar. Like, I think that's why that's the tie-in is that one line from Empire.
Wow, that's a long way to go to explain that one line.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's necessarily meant to explain it, but just like because the Kazdan, Lawrence wrote it, he knows that the Falcon has a peculiar style of speaking. So
look,
maybe
she's now part of a ship that goes on to save the galaxy. It's part of the
rebellion,
rebels.
She loves rebellion.
So I would like to assume she's pleased with where she is.
I hope so. I hope her and Lando still found out how to make it work.
Yes,
Lando humping the Falcon.
Exhaust port.
This exhaust port is only 2 meters wide. Don't worry, it'll fit. They're headed towards the Maw. That doesn't sound like a good thing. The Maw's a gravity well, and also it's next door neighbors to a Cthulhu monster.
Big gooba fish.
Huge teeth. I gotta say, it's a pet peeve of mine on sci-fi. I'm not a fan of like
the massive space creatures.
Yeah. It never really works for me.
Yeah,
and to be honest, this space creature.
It's a visual.
I feel like if you remove the space creature, you can still do what happens because the threat in this scene is being pulled in by the gravity well, not so much the monster.
But it would be less dramatic if the thing doesn't get like destroyed in the process.
That's true.
So
yeah, it's kind of cool when it gets like ripped up and stuff.
It's just because it adds like another layer of danger and visual flair to this scene.
That's true. Well, they end up getting out of it by putting just a little drop of quaxium, like as a treat.
Yeah.
into the reactor core.
The Falcon not working at the exact moment that they needed to is so like really, really good. Like I like that they did that callback. And then of course, like when he's like punch it and it actually does go, perfect. Love it.
Yeah. They land on Savareen, which is the planet where they're going to get the quaxium refined. There's this nice little bit where like some of the people who live there are hooking up the Falcon, and Han's like, just did the Kessel Run 12 parsecs. Don't know if you heard me.
Right.
What's that? Yeah, 12 parsec. That's what I said. He tells
Lando's looking at his ship.
Destroyed.
Just destroyed.
Fucking wrecked.
And he's like, I hate you.
I know. Another great Empire callback.
Yes. Great.
I know.
Great.
But Han and Kira talk about their future. You know, he's telling her like, I'm an outlaw. And she's like, no, I'm the only person in the galaxy who knows who you really are.
Yeah.
You're the good guy.
Yeah. And he takes offense to that.
He's like, nah, not a good guy.
Right.
Which I like the idea of hinting at Han Solo is a good guy, because that's what he becomes.
Sure.
He's an outlaw. He's a scoundrel. And I think this movie actually does a great job of walking that line of him being a scoundrel.
Yes.
And an outlaw.
Yeah.
But he will do good.
Right.
Because I don't think this betrays the Han shot first of it all that is in A New Hope.
Right.
Because in A New Hope, he's more curmudgeon-y. He's broken down a little bit more. He does have that price on his head. But in this spirit of youth, he's a better person, I think.
Yes.
But we get back at Block Volume 2.
Always in the wrong place.
Yeah. But then, oh no, Enfys Nest is back. She had put a tracker on the Millennium Falcon before they left the previous planet, and she's come to get that bounty. That coaxium.
Enfys Twist, she's here.
Enfys Twist. What an Enfys Twist. That sounds like a drink you would get at a restaurant that has like some like Arnold Palmer and something else in it.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have an Enfys Twist, please.
Yeah, that's true.
We should make that.
Ooh, we should. So it would be tea, lemonade, like vodka?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Cloud Striders. Isn't there a vodka called Cloud or something?
Maybe. You are more of the cocktail guy than I am.
Okay, next weekend I have with Erica. We're doing that because she's the mixologist out of the two of us. So
as long as there's Mio.
Every Erica drink has Mio in it. But yeah, Enfys Twist, gasp! Enfys Nest takes off her helmet. Oh my gosh, it's just a girl.
She's just a lady.
A young lady. What's she doing leaving?
I'm like shocked that
Marauders.
I'm shocked that Disney Plus in the captions did not give away that she's female
Enfys Nest
adversary. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, Enfys Nest tells them this tale of a lot of people suffering. She talks about this planet where everyone spoke out against their oppressors and they lost their tongues. Oh, it's the people of Savareen.
Yeah.
Who are their oppressors? Crimson Dawn.
Instead of this big bad guy, we learn I kind of get why you are the way you are.
Mm-hmm. Right. But she's all about rebellion. Specifically, she's not necessarily rebelling against the Empire. She's rebelling against the Syndicate.
Yes.
Which is an important factor, especially if you watch Andor. There's a bunch of lines in Andor where there's a lot of pockets of rebellion.
Yeah.
And the problem is getting them together to form the rebellion, right? And so this is just one of those pockets of rebellion. Han doesn't want to give the coaxium to Dryden after hearing all this. He talks to Beckett hey, I have a plan to get our money and not give the coaxium to Dryden. And Beckett's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
You got to know when to fold them, kid. And he knows when to fold them.
Yeah.
But before he goes away, Beckett's like, hey, I'm if you do live through this, find me on Tatooine. I know a gangster putting together a crew, and it'll be my last one before I retire to Glee, Anselm, and play the Valancourt.
And we assume that is Jabba, right?
Yeah.
Because he's the only...
Yeah, it's the only gangster on
Tatooine.
Yeah. But yeah, Han and Chewie they're in on the plan. They go to Dryden's yacht. Kira gives a couple last parting words to Han, like, hey, the object of this game isn't to win, it's just to stay in it as long as you can. And he's like,
Right.
No, we can win.
Yeah.
It's Han Solo.
Yeah.
Did you hear the song from the Connect? Han Solo. Right. But they meet Dryden. There's this, again, Dryden Voss is great. It's like, oh, Beckett didn't make it. Are you okay? Are you all right? How are you doing?
Yeah.
Have you logged on to BetterHelp and talked to your therapist yet? How are you doing? Do you want some Colo Clawfish? A great episode 1 callback.
Yeah.
Colo Clawfish.
Yeah.
But yeah, he says he trusts Kira more than anybody. And he really wants to see the coaxium. And he's like, wow, this is great. It almost looks like the real thing.
Yeah.
And Han's like, this because it is the
Han
real
knows
thing.
his goose is cooked at this point.
Ooh, and he's like real upset because the person he trusts most, Kira, is in on this plan. Luckily, he has an associate that gave him the tip off that he was going to be swindled. And who was that associate, Phil?
Beckett.
Glock Volume 3.
Triple cross.
DTA, motherfucker. Hell yeah, I didn't trust that some bitch from the beginning. Woody Harrelson walking ass. Just a note for all of you House of the Dragon fans. Dryden Voss's top lieutenant is named Aemon. And so anytime he's like, Aemon, I just kept thinking of Aemon Targaryen from Hot D. that petulant little fuck. Oh, I'm here. But yes, but Han says, hey, you think my goose is cooked, but I actually was paying attention to you this whole time. DTA, my friend. People are predictable. You're no exception.
Yeah.
They have tricked the tricksters.
Whoa.
Yeah. So Dryden's people have Enfys Nest's gang surrounded. Shockingly, it's not the gang. The gang take over Dryden Voss's people. We get to see some really cool aliens. You get the Rogue One alien that you like.
Man, that guy's so cool.
There's a baller Rhodian at one point.
Yeah.
The coaxium actually is the real coaxium. It's not fake. They just pretended it was fake. It's actually real.
Yeah.
When Beckett realizes that Han has them in the loop, Beckett's like, oh, cool. Well, I'll just steal from everybody then.
Yeah.
He shoots Dryden's men. He's going to make off with the coaxium, and he leaves Han and Dryden to it. The two of them have a fight. I do like this little bit where they run for each other's weapons, and they're hiding on the other side of the room from each other. And Dryden's like, Han, I just have a great idea. How about we join forces and go after Beckett together?
Yeah.
And Han's like, great idea. You go first. It looks like for a second that Kira has betrayed Han. She gets a sword and kind of like holds him up.
Yeah.
But Enfys Twist, she is actually is working with Han, and she attacks Dryden. At one point, he's got these cool like little like vibro knives
daggers.
or something.
Yeah.
And he ends up like stabbing the point of her sword, and then she like swings her sword like a baseball bat, and his dagger that's impaled in her sword is impaled into him.
Yeah.
It's kind of a neat little choreography bit there.
Yeah.
Han and Kira are together. They've beaten him.
Yay.
Yeah, they're gonna join forces and live happily ever after.
They'll kiss.
They kiss. Kira's like, you gotta go save Chewbacca from Beckett.
I gotta make a FaceTime call real quick.
Yeah, I'll be right there.
You gotta get the fuck out of here. My dude's gonna call.
My Zoom subscription is gonna go out. I really need to make this call.
Yeah.
So yeah, she tells him that she's gonna steal some of the jewels, but really she's got to make a phone call to make. And who does she call?
Enfys Twist. Darth Maul.
What? Yeah, Darth Maul is the leader of Crimson Dawn.
Now, I love this. This is cool. I don't understand it. I don't know why he's back. Makes no sense. I'm sure there's some explanation. Whatever. I don't care that much. They brought back everybody all of the time. It doesn't matter. What matters is why they made the choice to have him ignite his lightsaber for no reason. Just in case you didn't know it was Darth Maul, he has to...
That's 100% why.
But it's just so silly. Like, if you don't have that stupid lightsaber ignition, it's a really cool scene. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, it just takes the bite out of it at the end when it's like, okay, they're like, just in case you didn't know who this guy was.
No, it's
remind you with this. Like, it's just stupid.
Yeah.
But I still like it. It's fine.
Yeah. As somebody who was watching the Clone Wars and Rebels, like I knew that Darth Maul canonically was alive and that he was running Crimson Dawn.
Right.
I just didn't know he would still be running it this late into the timeline. But so it was nice to be like, oh, so I think they got Ray Park to do the body. Like that's Ray Park physically.
Yeah.
But then Sam Witwer, who voices.
Yes, that was a great choice.
Yeah, Sam Witwer voices Darth Maul in the Clone Wars and Rebels. He's also the voice of Starkiller from Force Unleashed. Really great actor. He actually does a fucking stellar Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
But it's just it's a really good marriage of those two eras of Star Wars. Prequel era Ray Park physically embodying Darth Maul while Sam Witwer voices him. It's really cool.
Did you know, and you probably did know, but I didn't learn this until like 10 years ago. The voice of Darth Maul in episode 1 is not Ray Park.
No, it's
Peter Serafinowicz.
And
I don't know why. I know why they went with Sam for this one, because he's done Darth Maul like way more at this point.
Yeah.
But it would have been cool if they made the call back to him like, hey, do you want to reprise this like really high profile role? Pete. Do you want to reprise this role like that no one knows you did?
Right. Yeah, so few people know it was Peter Serafinowicz in episode 1.
Yeah.
Darth Maul's like, hey, man, that's really shitty that Beckett killed.
That's actually what he says.
Dryden Voss. That's real shitty.
Bro, that sucks.
Kira, babe, meet me on Dathomir. We're going to talk about what we're going to do about this Beckett.
Let's rap about this Beckett guy.
Yeah, so Han catches up to Beckett and Chewie. Yeah. Beckett already knows like that Kira is the one that killed Dryden. Yeah. He just knows people. She's a survivor, he says.
Right.
And Beckett's about to start doing this like monologue of like, you didn't learn anything, son. I'm about to take you to school. And then Han shoots first.
Han fires first. Another callback.
Han shoots first. And
kills his mentor. It's pretty sad. Like, shares a moment.
Beckett's like, you made the smart move, kid, for once. I was really looking forward to playing that Valancourt.
Yeah.
And he dies. It's kind of a bummer. Another good character gone too soon.
Wasted. But yeah,
Kira leaves. She takes the vertical yacht ship and flies away. And the two of them look at Han and Kira look at each other from their perspective locations. I really love the cinematography of this movie, but there's something about the shot of Kira looking out the window and the way the lighting is behind her.
Yeah, it's good.
I love that shot so much. It's very good.
Yes.
Han is a sad boy. Han and Chewie meet back up with Enfys Nest, and give him give all the coaxium. There's like 60 million credits worth of coaxium, but she gives him a little taste, little treat. This first one's for free, but that should be more than enough to get him something. I don't know. Smash cut. He's on a different planet somehow. We hear Lando. He's playing Sabacc. He has that great line like of how much do you know about intertwined celestial bodies? I happen to be something of an authority.
Yeah.
Like what a good line.
Yeah.
And they do the callback from Empire Strikes Back where Han and Chewie are like, they got straight vinegar walking up to Lando like they're so pissed, and then Han sees the little card thing in Lando's sleeve, and he does the like, what are you doing, you old pirate? And he hugs him like, oh, I'm not actually really mad at you.
And the sleight of hand takes his card out from his sleeve and he's not looking.
Yeah.
And then he challenges him to another game.
Rematch time.
Yeah.
There's a really cute moment where he shows Chewie his cards.
Yeah.
And Chewie's like, hey man, you really got it bad for the Falcon.
Yeah.
I love that. Lando's sees Han's play. It's pretty good. He's like, I got this in the bag. He goes to get his little car contraption.
It gone.
It gone. He doesn't have that green Psylop in his hand.
He cannot cheat.
He can't cheat. That means Han and Chewie win back the Falcon.
This moment is so satisfying.
Another moment that as a longtime Star Wars fan, you always heard that Han won the Falcon in a game of Sabacc. So just seeing it, not only seeing it happen, but you get to see a second game as well.
Yes.
Very, very fun. And you get one last little bit where Han and Chewie are in the Falcon, and Han's like, got a tip about a gangster on Tatooine putting together a crew. When have I ever steered you wrong? And Chewie gives him that little look like, I've only known you for like a solid week.
Right.
But I feel like you've led me astray a lot. I mean, we're bros, but
I mean, we somehow managed to get out of it each time, but
I'm not happy about it.
yeah.
And then they ride off into the sunset with dice shot.
Yes.
And
How
one more
many
shot.
dice shot?
I think, let me look back here. It's a total of 6 dice shots, I think. Yeah, 6.
I feel like there were more, but
Oh, it's very front heavy in this
Yeah,
movie. They're like, look at it. Fucking look at
Dice,
it. Look at
dice,
it.
dice.
Dice. Dice in the alley with Leroy. Yeah, whatever.
and that's it.
That's it. That's Solo, a Star Wars story. But we got a couple more things to do.
Yes.
Well, first off,
Yeah.
we'll get it out of the way. We're not going to rank this one yet because Kit's not here. And so we can't have an official Streaming Things ranking unless the 3 of us here. So stay tuned to the next episode for Rogue One, where we will tell you where we throw Solo into the Streaming Things list. But where do you personally put it?
So I'd probably put it right below Return of the Jedi.
Right below Return?
Return's a good movie. I mean, I like it.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
But I really, really enjoyed this movie a lot for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't fault it for not being like one of the 9 pillars. So I think it belongs above episode 1, 2, and Rise.
Yeah.
For sure. But I don't think I want to put it above Return of the Jedi.
I think that's fair. That's actually 100% what my personal ranking is.
Okay.
Because in my ranking of Star Wars, it's like a lot of movies that I like.
Yeah.
And then 3 movies I hate.
Yeah.
And this, I've always placed it at it's the last of the movies
it's the
that
dividing
I like.
line.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like Solo is at the precipice of a cliff.
Yeah.
Because I really like this movie.
Yeah.
But the movies below it, I do not like. There's an ocean between my enjoyment between them. Yeah. So but we'll confer with Kit when he comes back next week, and we'll let you know what the official Streaming Things order is. But let's move into the medal ceremony.
Yep.
Phil, what is the medal that you would give to this movie above all the other Star Wars movies? I've got one if you want time to think.
Yeah. Let's have you lead. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to give this medal the Chewie medal. This is the movie with the best Chewie.
Okay.
Like, I think this is the movie where you really get to see Chewie shine. Mm-hmm. He's got more scenes of his own. He gets to like fight some dudes.
Yeah.
And just that connection that he has with Han Solo.
Yeah.
Really endearing. And I just always laugh seeing him walk up to Han Solo in the shower. It's just it's so funny to me.
It's great.
So this movie is the best use of Chewie.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that's fair. I had mentioned before that I think this has the best Wookiee action of any Star Wars films, but that's too close to what you just said. So I will say
hot Wookiee action.
I will say this movie has, I instantly fell in love with Rio. So I think this movie does so much with a guy you think is going to be in the whole movie, and he's just like out like that. The little bit of time we get with Rio specifically is so brief, but it really, I think, was a lot of fun.
Oh, 100%.
So there's a lot of brief interactions with really cool main cast like L3 and Rio and Val. But I gotta say, is that train level. That train level is just so good. I think this has the best train level of any Star Wars movie.
Of the train levels.
Of all the train levels in Star Wars, this one has the best. So
for a second, I thought you were gonna be like, this is the best Star Wars movie hands down because it has a train level. Scientifically proven to make any movie better.
Yeah. I think this movie does action extremely well, and that train level specifically is just so damn fun.
It is.
So I'm gonna say this does train level the best.
Train level the best.
Of any Star Wars film. Not that there's competition, but I really like that scene.
No.
It's cool.
It stands.
Yeah.
Don't cheapen this accolade for this movie, Phil. And that concludes our coverage of Solo, a Star Wars story. Before we cut out completely, let's unthaw Andy from his hibernation in carbonite.
Oh, Andy just fell into Steve's arms. I think he's blind.
Someone who loves you,
Where am
Andy.
I, Steve? Yeah.
Why are you wet?
Just very moist. Moist Andy, not a great look.
Oh, speak for yourself. Well, Andy, now it's the part of the show where you kind of tell us about this Mad Libs story we gave you words for earlier. Are you ready to let us know what story we crafted?
I am happy to share. Okay, so the story that you guys crafted was called Walking Carpet, a Wookiee Speak tutorial by Han Solo. For someone not fluent in Shuriwook, Chewbacca's native nostril can be nearly impossible to understand with what squishy fuzzball is trying to freeze. Here are some phrases Chewbacca uses sexily. One.
Oh no! Oh no!
This is the shower scene all over again.
1. Kumquat. When Chewbacca growls kumquat, he's not happy. Penetrate cautiously, especially if he's just lost a game of...
Oh shit! Well, penetrate cautiously. Ooh, is that
Especially
Chewie's
if
like
he's-
safe word? Kumquat? Kumquat? Penetrate cautiously.
Especially if he's just lost a game of lobes. He might just rip your molars off.
Ooh, damn.
Number 2. Bamboozle! When Chewbacca softly purrs bamboozle, it means he's feeling as transcendent as a clam or as snug as a pickle in a rug.
Oh, that's a phrase.
He'll often do this when you're scratching behind his nipples.
Behind? Behind his nipples?
Oh,
Number 3. Big Newton. When Chewbacca chuckles Big Newton, it means he's laughing. Something that fuzz lubricant even laughs at me. Whenever that happens, I get about as angry as a toasty Wookiee.
ooh, toasty Wookiee.
And that, gentlemen, is the end of Walking Carpet, a Wookiee Speak tutorial.
That was
by
amazing.
Solo.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Andy, for reading that. I will, and next time I see Chewbacca, I'll know to tickle him behind his nipples. and to tread cautiously if he yells
And
kumquat.
remember the safe word.
Yeah. Well, Phil, thank you for joining us as always.
Thank you.
Andy, thank you for volunteering to not only do the Mad Libs, but to be frozen in carbonite for at least an hour.
I'm happy to
yeah.
help, sir.
You are a god amongst men. But unfortunately, that is it for this episode of Streaming Things.
Womp womp.
We got to return some videotapes. My name is Steve.
I'm Phil.
And that's
And I'm
Andy.
Andy.
And it's Andy. And I'm Steve. Thank you so much. Enjoy the episode. Enjoy the week. Happy streaming. I don't host.
Perfect.